Kicking off the month of August with my friend Alex Wagner and Hazen Downward. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive, and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode. This is Jim Huntsman, the host, coming at you from the Broken Tine studio right here in Clark Fork, Idaho. Thanks for joining me, guys. Hey, I appreciate it. I got a really good episode for you this week. Before I get into that, just a couple of quick updates. I've had a bunch of you asking about our situation out here in our off-grid property we moved out onto. And I'm happy to report it's mainly going well. It's mostly going well. Still don't have power. Still don't have water. We are living off of generators and one little solar panel thing, just to keep the studio, well lit when I don't want to run the generator because the gas is getting out of control price wise. And so. Looks like we'll have power in a couple of weeks. I got the trench all dug out. I had to like hand dig the last 5 feet of it over to the power pole because this tractor I rented, going down this grade, it was like going to tip over on me. So I had to stop there, dig backwards, and then hand dig the rest. And there is just something about manual labor that I've always kind of enjoyed, especially when it's something like digging a ditch, and this property is coming along. We've got everything kind of smoothed out where we're living, where our trailers are parked and everything. And so it's really cool. Lots of wildlife. Weather's been super hot. It's really smoky in the air right now with all the wildfires around. But we're getting through it, and I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't change our situation. It's been a tough summer so far. But if you guys have the opportunity to get some bare land and create like a homestead on it, it's a long process, but it's worth it, and I'd recommend it. So lots of fun. This morning I just got done recording with Ryan Mickler over at Order of Man, and that episode is going to be out next week, so don't miss that one. It was actually a really good conversation, and you're going to want to learn a little bit from Ryan Mickler. If you don't know who he is, you're going to find out next week if you tune in. But this week, I have got my friends, a return guest, Alex Wagner, and his hunting partner, Hazen Downward. And we kind of talk, we're all over the place in this conversation between bear hunting and elk hunting and deer hunting, bow hunting, rifle hunting, all sorts of stuff. So Hazen lives down in Utah, and in some of my old stomping grounds down there, and Alex is in southern Idaho. And so they linked up and they became friends and started hunting several years ago. You'll hear the story, and they've been hunting together ever since. And it's just a couple of good dudes I got on this episode. They have some really good stories, and they're great hunters, and they've got a lot of good hunting ethics. And we just cover a lot of ground, and that's kind of what the point of this episode is. There's we kind of bounce all over, and I love that. It's a great conversation, so buckle up for that. By the way, I still haven't heard back from the winner from the fake company Phelps Game Calls contest, if I could kind of articulate that right. So Mr. Gonzalez, I believe, I don't have the notes pulled up, but he won, and I have not heard back. You need to email me, man. I don't know where to send any of the stuff, so we're going to have another winner announcement next week for the Instagram giveaway we were doing. Guys, I posted something on Instagram and Facebook, was that yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever, and I just wanted to talk real briefly about that. It was about how it was basically a humble, thankful post for my audience, you guys listening out there, I made the comment that in July we broke some serious download numbers, and when I say we broke the record, I mean we blasted through it, we crushed it, smashed it, whatever you want to use for it. Either way, July was an absolute record download month, which is funny because I didn't do any like bonus episodes. I didn't do anything out of the norm, just a normal, couple of school Septembers were released. Well, one. And it was just, I don't know what happened, but I think a lot of people are starting to tune into hunting podcasts out there because hunting season is fast approaching us. And so that's probably part of it. But either way, I just, wanted you guys to hear it. I posted a big thank you on the social media pages, on Instagram and Facebook, and I just wanted to kind of have you guys hear it from my voice. I know I do this a lot, but I just can't thank you guys enough. It's amazing. I never really expected this. I started this podcast, just thinking we'd get some downloads here and there. I'd make some new friends and hopefully help with the whole anti-hunting movement and build some passion here and there. I didn't expect the magnitude of the downloads and the way it has spread. We get downloads all over the world, certainly all over the country. I'm amazed at how many downloads we get. We get the most in like Utah, Idaho, Washington, and Wyoming. But we get a ton. I don't know what Montana. You guys are slacking, man. We need to grow in Montana. I should be like a dual resident too. By the way, I'm only a few minutes from Montana, and we're in Montana almost every day. Anyway, no, I no complaints on my end. Totally kidding around. It's just been amazing in terms of the growth and what you guys have done and supported and sharing it with your friends and giving us good reviews and sharing our social media posts and stuff like that. Just again, I'm probably just babbling at this point, but thanks, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the support. You're amazing, and I appreciate it. I wouldn't be doing this still if there hadn't been the growth that we've seen and the success we've seen out of it. So again, just thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate your support. With that, let us dive into it with Alex Wagner and Hazen Downward. And this episode is not one you're going to want to miss. Here we go.
Nothing yet. Either the wife or the kid left the fridge cracked, so everything's all warm.
Are you serious? That's a crime.
Yeah. I'm not real thrilled about it.
Hazen, how do you say your last name exactly?
It's Downward, just like downward spiral.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I can't screw that up.
No, it's pretty easy.
Alex, how do you say your last name? No, I'm just kidding.
Wagner. Yeah. Doesn't say Wagner. We've already been over this, Jim.
All right, guys, on the line today, I have Alex Wagner. Did I say it right?
Mm-hmm.
And his good hunting buddy from Utah down there, his name is Hazen Downward. And we've been trying to put this episode together for a long time. Alex is a returning guest on the show. He was on last winter, and he's also, well, never mind on that part. Because we're going to keep that part a secret, Alex, for right now. But guys, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having us.
Hazen, we have Alex's kind of basic background in that original episode. Can you give us a snapshot of who you are, where you're from, how you grew up?
I grew up in kind of the central western part of Utah, the Salt Lake Valley, basically.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much just grew up hunting mule deer. That's about all we did. And just a few years ago, we started hunting elk with Alex, and that's kind of taken over. to say the least.
Taking over the finances, taking over the time, taking over your life. Is that pretty much how it's playing out?
Yeah. My wife's not real thrilled about that part, but
I know exactly how you feel, man. I know the feeling. So you're what in like West Jordan or something down there in the Salt Lake Valley?
Yep, you got her. Yep, right in that area.
Because I grew up in Draper, so.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but now it's all like connected, and I've talked about it on the show before. But when I grew up in Draper, it was like this little teeny town in the corner of the Salt Lake Valley, and there was like nothing there.
No, now it's a zoo.
Oh, it's a total zoo.
Yeah, it's way built out. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you can't really hunt down there anymore. Like we used to hunt, right? We didn't even drive anywhere. We walked right from our house there in Draper to hunt pheasants, and we'd hunt geese and go up into the foothills and hunt deer. But nowadays, I'm not that old, so it's like it was a fast change, and it started when I was in high school.
Yeah, it was quick. So we actually, with the extended archery right there, we hunted deer in Corner Canyon all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like our go-to place. And now, geez, you got to be halfway up the mountain before you're even out of houses.
God, I know, it's crazy, dude, the way they build them up on top. And I was always worried, like, some of them were going to slide off of that. Because on the back, like, that whole Corner Canyon area to the point of the mountain out there, that was our playground in high school, man. We'd take our trucks up there and get them stuck in the mud, and there was this big hill called Widowmaker, and we'd all try to get our trucks up Widowmaker. And only a couple of buddies that had souped up trucks were able to make it. I about rolled mine a few times trying to get up there, but yeah, it's just totally different nowadays. It's all neighborhoods, and it's kind of like kind of uppity down there too.
Oh yeah, it's like crazy high-end houses, and it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. It was like just a poor farm town when I lived there, so crazy.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I'm excited to talk to somebody who's hunted Utah before. I don't get to do that very often.
No?
Yeah. My buddy John Gabriel lives down there. I don't know for how much longer, but Gabriel's down in Riverton. He's the one that like makes he made my logo and stuff, and he's a graphic designer, and he does logos and websites for like the Elk Collective and Phelps Game Call, all sorts of stuff. So he's got his hands in everything. But he's down there. You guys should link up. He nailed a huge buck up on that Wasatch Front last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to look. I haven't seen. I've been out of the mule deer loop for a little while. So
with and Alex, we should probably recap. Alex, tell us where you're at in Idaho and give everybody just a quick synopsis.
I'm living in Buell, Idaho. It's kind of like it's not a blink if you drive through it kind of town, but I mean, we got like 5,000, 6,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's central southern Idaho. It's hot. It's desert.
Yeah.
Lots of antelope, few mule deer, like very few mule deer. We're kind of like in the area where I live.
There's no Utah mule deer.
Yeah, I think there's 3 deer in that whole area there.
Yeah, the whole unit has 3.
And two of them are eating out of the apple orchard in my neighbor's yard right now. But I travel quite a bit for hunting, and I'm going to go down to Utah this year too and hunt, and I have a buck tag in Utah, so that's pretty awesome.
Keep going. We should talk about that later.
We can talk about that later, but that's just kind of one of the little bit of a recap at the moment. But we travel lots, and a lot of places I hunt, it's not that close to my house. Honestly, it's usually several hours of driving one way. But I'm no longer with the Idaho State Bow Hunters, and that's all right. Still support the organization. I think they're still doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, because when you were on the show before, you were one of the regional directors or something, right?
Yeah, I was the Region 4 director, and I did my time. I did 4 years with it, and more or less life just kind of gets a hold of you. And right now I'm remodeling a house, so
yeah.
I was doing construction when we were doing test sounds.
That's right. And just so everybody knows, Alex is the episode name, I think, I'm just going off the top of my head, when I just had you on, is called The Sixth Sense of Big Game, I believe. I think that's what it's called. It was like January or something.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was cold. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. I remember that too.
We had a good conversation. It definitely lasted way longer than I thought it would. As far as recording is, it's kind of like it kept going on and on and on, and it's like, okay, we both got to go to bed now. That's pretty much how it was.
So we've got this Idaho dude and with this Utah dude, and you guys became friends and have been hunting for a few years together. How did you guys meet?
Through Toxic Calls in southern Idaho. We were both on their staff.
Oh, gotcha.
And yeah, it was kind of strange. Just random out of the blue, I get a phone call from a guy I've never met, seeing if I wanted to go goose hunting in Oregon with him.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy, huh?
Yeah, it was a little strange at first. I don't know who this guy is. But, yeah, when we did that, it was like, okay, so he got interest kind of in the same field and everything, and that he knew what he was doing. So kind of started a friendship there. And I think that was like about 7 years ago, something like that.
It was longer than that, because 2013, I think, is he shot his first Idaho bull with me. I think was 2013-14, and it was like a year before or 2 years before that, because Hazen actually has like a crazy injury as far as working goes.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
What injury?
Yeah, so the year before I actually went up there elk hunting with him, we were scheduled to go. We had a trip planned, and in June of that year, which I believe was 2012, I had a ladder tip over, and I just jumped, figured I'd be just fine, but I landed straight leg and broke both of my legs.
Oh, shit.
So,
both legs?
Both of them, yeah. Right ankle and left tibia.
Oh, man. Ouch. Yeah, that's only a couple months before hunting season. Yeah, it was late June, and so that year I had to, because I live in a split level, and I couldn't get up to my bedroom or anything like that, so they made me stay in a rehab facility for like a month and a half. That was different. Yeah.
A physical rehab facility. And I think I finally talked my dad into dragging me deer hunting that year in August. Even though I couldn't walk, I used my crutches to still get on the four-wheeler, and I still drove around with my bow, just hoping that there was a dumb one to be close enough for the road. But
that happens too.
Any spikes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that sucks. I feel for you, man.
Yeah, it was a rough couple months, and I finally, with that extended here in Utah, I was able to hike and hunt like the last month or so of the season, but I wasn't able to get very far. The muscle atrophy was pretty bad at that point, so I just made the best of it.
What about like now? Does it still bother you? You still get pain from it?
Oh yeah, it's something the doctor said it'll get progressively worse as the older I get. So, like last year, packing out my bull, I was toast for probably a week or so. The ankle just, when it's under load, and especially if it's rocky, it's exponentially worse.
So with that kind of injury, Hazen, is it harder for you, like more painful wise, going uphill or downhill?
Downhill.
Yeah. And I ask that because I have a knee injury from the military, and like everybody talks about, and complains about going uphill, but it's downhill that kills me. Yeah,
it's the same on mine, because what happens is my my Achilles doesn't stretch anymore. And so both soft tissue on the front and the back, the front, when I'm going uphill, it doesn't flex very far. And so it doesn't get to the point where it's going to hurt. But the front, if I step on all my weight on my heel going downhill, it tears everything off the front.
Oh, shit. Ouch,
so
man.
It's rough. It gets all giant, swollen. But
you just take like ibuprofen or something on the mountain?
No, not unless it's way bad. I try not to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had other stomach issues just from taking ibuprofen, so I very rarely take them.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. No, I'm the same way. Just that sucks, man. I hate to hear that kind of stuff. You were working construction or something?
Yeah. Yep.
Where'd you go to high school, Hazen?
Copper Hills.
Oh, you were Copper Hills? So I was a Jordan beat digger, man.
Ah, nice. That's where my mom went to school.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's like one of the oldest schools in Utah.
Yeah. I think
they rebuilt it. I was one of the first classes to go to the new one, but the old building, it was there for a long time. They finally tore it down, but they like filmed movies and stuff in it because it was all old and historic looking.
Yeah.
So, and anyway, I was the first class in the new building, and they had us vote if we wanted to keep the mascot beet digger because nobody's ever heard of a beet digger, but there were all those beet farms around there. And we were all like, "No, we're keeping the mascot. We're gonna be beet diggers."
Perfect. Gotta keep the nostalgia.
Exactly. So you guys meet and you go on something to Oregon, and then you guys start hunting together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
And now you guys have this annual like bear trip that you guys do. It seems like, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's me and my dad started it, 15 years ago. We started going up every year, and then it took a few years before we invited anybody. And
are you now? When you say that, are you talking about in Idaho or in Utah?
In Idaho.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so we've made the travel up there for quite a while, and then. I talked to Alex into bear hunting and setting some baits. Just like, dude, it's way cool. You've got to try it. At least just try it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was having a few bears and stuff come in, but he was kind of in an area that didn't have a very dense population. So I said, why don't you just come up with us instead of wasting your time there? And now it's been a week-long trip since... I don't even remember what year it was. It's been a few years now.
So yeah, it's probably been, 2018, something like that.
That's when you guys started going on the bear hunt together?
Yeah, it was around there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of wanted to start this conversation. My idea with this is you guys are both solid hunters. You've got a great track record. You've been hunting together for a long time. You got some cool stories. And so my idea with this episode is, because if you guys listen to my show, it's all over the place. I have serious episodes, I have funny episodes, I have dumb episodes, I have smart episodes, all of it, right? And I'm never the smart one in the smart ones. And so I kind of thought, what I haven't done in a long time is just talk hunting. Just talk about hunting, and Hazen, it'll be cool. I like to shoot the breeze with somebody who's hunted in Utah, and Alex is in Idaho, and those are the two states I've hunted the most in my life. And so that's kind of the idea, but I kind of wanted to kick it off with talking about your guys' bear season this last season, because you guys had a really good bear season. And I don't care who starts, but why don't you give us kind of the gist of what went down this season, and we'll go from there.
And we had five tag holders or something like that, and we do our baiting kind of different than everybody else, really.
What do you mean by that?
It's more of a short term kind of deal. We don't go out on April 15th and try and get all our baits in to be quite honest, we can't get to those until some years we can't get to them until mid-June just because of snow levels. And that's kind of why we end up having to do like a short-term bait. We did our same thing this year. Sometimes we'll just bait and hunt right away. This year we baited and waited a week and then went back up to hunt, kind of let them soak, because the last 2 years have been
miserable.
They've been slow, to say the least.
Just because of lack of bear activity, or what?
Yeah, and then they've been really random, which isn't really normal for what we've dealt with in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always gone the same time of year every year. And some years there's less snow, so it's already been greened up, and then you have to deal with natural food. That makes it a little bit trickier.
Sure.
So we got our baits in just like we normally do, and we have a couple that they're old reliables. I lost count how many bears we've taken off of them, and we've always made it a point. It's kind of my dad's bait to get that one in first, because he generally just hunts weekends, and he had the full week this year, so it wasn't as big of a deal. But that bait's got an average of 10 bears on it every year.
Oh, that's not too shabby.
Yeah,
no.
It gets to be a pain in the neck because you can't keep up with the feed.
And what are the GPS coordinates to that?
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you want to know,
no,
it's kind of close to your mom's house.
That explains it. Damn it. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a crazy one.
Logistically, when you guys are going out and you're getting these baits set, are you guys base camped, or are you going into the back country? Because I can't figure. Well, no, let me just let you answer that.
We base camp, and then we travel to the baits every day just to try to keep up with them during that week that we're there. And in years past, as soon as those barrels hit even a little less than a quarter full, still baiting there, they just start disappearing, the bears do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll bet. Cool. So how'd this season go?
So, I mean, we had a ton of bears on there. I think between the baits that we had out, how many did we have out, Alex? Like 5 this year?
We had 5. We had 5 baits.
Yeah, one of you guys posted like 2 or 3 different sites. You posted the picture of the barrel or whatever. I can't remember.
Yeah, there's a few of them where we didn't have a whole lot of activity on them. I mean, we had like 3 or 4 bears that were kind of random, so we didn't have a ton of pictures from those. We had a few that were much more active. But yeah, we had 5 baits out, and somewhere in the ballpark of 30-ish bears or something total between the 5.
That we can clearly say that are different bears.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because, like, we'll pull an SD card every day, but unless you have a big screen, laptop, or even looking at them on a computer, and then put them on the camping trailers TV, sometimes you can't tell the difference until you start seeing little tiny different markings and stuff like that. So, I mean, 30 bears is, pretty fair to say. We very well could have had more.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had a hard time too, man. I had a bunch of bears on my barrel, and I couldn't. There was like 3 of them that I could say without a doubt were individual bears that were separate from the rest. But then there was like a bunch of bears that I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's hard when they're color phased. I mean, you can differentiate between any of them.
Mm-hmm.
When you start getting the black ones in there, you got to look for weird spots on their nose or a blaze on their chest or something that's a different shape. It's kind of goofy.
Or a half-eaten ear.
Yeah.
No.
Were you guys bow hunting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And Hazen, just like an off-topic question, real quick. Because the last time I lived in Utah was years ago, and I was not into bear hunting at all at the time. Can you bear hunt in Utah? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, so they have some harvest objective units that you can just buy a tag over the counter for right now.
But you can't bait there, right?
No, you can't bait on those. There are some particular seasons that you can bait on. It's just the summer season, so they start, I can't remember, late June, something like that, and go through most of the summer. Those ones you can bait on, but as far as the rest go, they're either spot and stock or you can run hounds.
Gotcha. And I don't remember what the density there. I saw a couple bears in all my time in Utah up by Strawberry Lake a few times, but other than that, I never really saw them. I take that back. Yeah. I saw a big black bear up on Skyline Drive down in San Pete County.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still quite a few down there, and then Strawberry's probably one of the, as far as actually doing, I think they got rid of the harvest objective this last year in that one, but they're getting to be more and more here, so they're kind of being a problem. People aren't used to dealing with them.
Is the berry still? I imagine it's worse, but when I left Utah, the berry was a shit show, man. Like you couldn't find a place to camp. There was like millions of boats on that thing, which sucks because when I was growing up, that was the best place to go.
Yeah, it's still crazy, but they've made a lot more room.
Have they?
As far as camping in like the marina area and stuff, there's a lot more camping there than there used to be.
Oh, that's good.
It's not too bad.
Yeah. I ran over a badger up there one time when I was like 17 years old and ran over a badger on that road out of Indian Creek, I think. That goes out kind of south of the lake there. Thing ran right in front of my truck, and I'm like, boop, hit it. I got out, and I was like, what the hell was that? And I go running back there. It's a freaking badger. So
just a little speed bump.
Yeah, a little speed bump, you know. Anyway, I keep derailing us, man. Let's get back to this season this last year, because you guys, you had 5 tags, and I want to just kind of recap it real quick.
Yeah. I mean, we all could have killed bears, that's for sure. We've seen plenty. My dad passed up a bear, like the first night, 2 bears, and one of them, it's like his dream bear, but it had a rub on its butt. And so he's like, off limits, nobody shoot that. He wouldn't even let my daughter shoot it.
Did your daughter have a tag?
Yeah, yep.
Nice.
Yeah, she actually killed her second bear this year. Well, Alex was sitting there with us. We all decided to take our night off of hunting and see if we couldn't get her one killed. So
I even let her christen my new gun.
That's awesome. Yeah. So she tagged out, and how old is she?
She is 12.
Oh man, that gives me hope, dude. I got my 12-year-old. She's gonna be going out this next spring for the first time for bear hunting. So pretty excited.
Nice. It's a great hunt for kids and stuff. Because I mean, there's not a lot of hiking. I mean, you do have to be patient, but with cell phones and stuff now,
yeah,
they can keep entertained for a while. And she actually killed her first bear last year too.
Oh, she did.
So we hunted all of about 3 hours, so she didn't get much of an experience.
Man, I love hearing that stuff, man. I love that. It's so important for us to keep in mind the future of hunting and the generations coming up. And I just bought my daughters. I've got a 10 and 12-year-old here, and just bought them a 7mm 08. And because they're all lined out, we're ready to go for. They're gonna be doing rifle elk and rifle deer. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, that should be a good time for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So getting back to that, your daughter, when you guys were baiting, or I mean sitting on the bait or whatever, are you guys like in a tree stand, or are you in a ground blind, or are you just kind of set up somewhere?
No, we're on. Well, it depends. This year we actually tried real ground blinds as far as our archery ones, but with my daughter, we're just on the ground, probably 45, 50 yards from the bait is all.
And she nailed that sucker, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of rifle?
It was a, what was that, Winchester?
It's a Winchester Model 70 257 Roberts.
Oh, nice. Somebody recommended that rifle for my daughters. I thought it was too hard to get ammo for, though.
Well, it's not hard to get ammo if you're a reloader like Hazen and I. But it was kind of one of them guns that I kicked myself when I was like 12. I had the chance to have one, and I didn't. And it's kind of haunted me ever since, so now I have to have one. Plus, it's oddball. Not everyone has one anymore. So,
what's the recoil like on that for a kiddo?
Well, so I have a suppressor on mine, so it's like shooting a BB gun. But without the suppressor, it's really similar to a 243.
Okay.
It's next to nothing, honestly. So it even has the same amount of powder as a 243.
Oh, does it? So
it's just 25 caliber.
I can't remember who recommended that one, but everybody else recommended this 7mm, so I went with that. And again, we're getting off topic here. I just my girls they're small, man, and so I was worried about the recoil.
Well, that's the nice thing with that 7mm is you can size down or size up as much as you need. You can get all the way down to, I think, a 90 grain bullet for that, and up to 180.
Yeah.
You might even make 200s now with the long range stuff.
Yeah, and with kids too. I mean, if you're worried about it, just put a muzzle brake on it. I mean, it solves a lot of issues. It's louder, so it blows all the sound back towards you. But I mean, with kids, I can let a 12-year-old shoot my dad's 300 short mag. It'd never hurt him. It's got a brake on it. It's just loud. It's just really loud.
What's interesting is you guys are supposed to be my archery experts here.
Yeah, well, we like boomsticks. Yeah, we went boomsticks, and we did go down a rabbit hole.
I'm always interested in that topic, because I get super excited about a rifle hunt, and I get super excited about an archery hunt, and somebody asked me one time, well, what do you prefer? And my initial response before thinking about it is always archery, because I love shooting my bow. But then if I start really thinking about it, I think that because archery usually involves screaming elk, that's what makes archery my favorite. But if I take that element out of it, I love both of them. The archery has the advantage of you're up close and personal, you're working harder, you're getting. I feel like you got to have a little more strategy, and there's some shooting skill sets that you need. But with rifle, it's not easy, and there is something super challenging about that right shot, and I don't know. It's always a topic I wanted to talk about a little bit. It's not super defined for me in terms of what I would prefer. Do you guys have, is there something that it's absolutely hands down archery, it's absolutely hands down rifle? What do you guys say?
I'm an archery guy.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
I'm a purist. I'm a purist. That's what Hazen calls me.
What do you mean? Like you have a old school longbow or what?
No, it's it comes with bear hunting. With the way like the Idaho bear hunt is. I mean, it's a general over the season tag. I mean, you can shoot them with a shotgun if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But I've always told Hazen, I'm going to stick it out with a bow until it's over with. And there is a major definite change because my tag is like $13 and his was like almost $300 this year, which is like kind of that's another whole.
Oh, they upped it, huh? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Shit.
And he'll go sit 100 yards back if that's what it takes, to finally punch that non-resident tag. And I don't blame him one single bit, because when you're spending that kind of money, you want to walk home and be successful.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But so I get called the purist.
I tease him about it all the time.
Alex, you're an archery snob, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a.
That's the word we're looking for.
Yeah, and you know, and that's fine. Like I mean, we had a great time last year. Hazen and I had Montana rifle antelope tags, and being an archery guy and Hazen being an archery guy for the most part, when you have a rifle in your hands, it's kind of like, honestly, you feel like God. That's the only way.
I know, dude. I feel like I'm almost like, cheating sometimes.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, you know, if we were bow hunting, you know, you're gonna live, but I have a rifle now, and I don't like the way you look, so you can live. Like that's kind of how it is sometimes.
It's only the feeling though. Like
yeah,
I'll go straight from, you know how in Idaho you have the September archery hunt for elk, and if you don't tag out, then you got that 5 days in October on the rifle. And if I get to that point and I get out there with my rifle, I'm like, oh man, like you said, I feel like I'm God or something. You know, I'm cheating. I've got this huge advantage, and it's all over with. Every elk in the woods should be running for their life because I'm coming for them, right? And then you get out there, and it's like, oh shit, man, it's really not that easy with a rifle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you still have to have all the stuff come together.
Yeah, exactly.
To make
exactly.
It
changes everything because you're hunting a totally different way. They're not screaming at you and telling you where they're at and coming in on you. And so it's a total. The challenges where they differ, they're still pretty extreme on both ends, and that's I think why I like doing both, because it reminds me why I do both. And anyway, that's like a whole podcast episode in itself right there.
Oh, it is. I mean, you could talk about a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of little small subjects in there that you could talk about for honestly a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But
so
I don't know. It is what it is.
It is. And it's just, one of those things that if you enjoy both, do both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to be stuck to one.
Yeah.
One weapon.
It's like that. Like in the fishing world too. I notice big time. People get surprised that, like I'm pretty deadly with a fly rod. I'm also pretty deadly with like a spin rod. And people are surprised by that because in the fishing world, everybody is like one or the other, you know. But I can go catch trout with the best of them with my fly rod, but I also have a thing where I sometimes like throwing a night crawler on my ugly stick and throwing it out there and just sitting there and drinking a beer.
And just being a worm dunker.
Yeah. I have no shame, man. I will do both, and I'm proud when I catch a fish either way. Don't care.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I still have to trick them.
Yeah, you still have to trick them. Yeah, and you still have to, finesse them to the net and all that kind of stuff. So it's those are important elements. And as part of with this show, I always want to like smooth out those differences, like help people understand that it's okay if you do all of it. You don't have to be a purist fly fisherman. You don't have to be a purist worm fisherman or an archery hunter or a muzzleloader or a rifle hunter and all that kind of stuff. There's no reason for that, because you're going to get a lot more enjoyment if you try more like elements or aspects of hunting and fishing. It's just it's something I stress to people a lot.
Well, and it extends your season too. I mean, you can.
Yeah, great point.
It stretches them out. I mean, if we just did all straight archery, we'd have a month and a half, and then after that, it'd pretty much be over.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Let's get back to bear season real quick. You said you had 5 tags. How many of those tags did you guys fill?
3 of them.
3 out of 5. So that is a pretty good ratio.
Yeah. And we could have filled the other ones. Me and my dad, we're the only ones that didn't fill our tags. We both seen plenty of bears. Just we were waiting for the one, like a particular bear.
Yeah. So you guys have gotten to the point where it's okay to be picky. You guys have like gotten to that point where that's what's important, right?
Yep, yeah, absolutely. And where we hunt, we see a lot of the same bears year after year after year. So, I mean, there's some of them where we've passed them for like 2-3 years and they show back up and like we've got a real bear rather than just the average bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just call it we farm bears is what we're doing.
That's pretty much what it is.
I like that. I'm going to steal that term.
When you feed them like 2,000 pounds of donuts in like 10 days, you hope that they grow up. I mean, that's just kind of the basics principle of it.
Is that what you guys are using as donuts?
Yeah. Pastries.
Where do you get them from?
That's top secret there.
That's a classified material, Jim.
So you're not going to give me that info or the GPS coordinates where you're farming these bears out every year, huh?
I already told you it's kind of close to your mom's house. Like
Dude, my mom listens to these sometimes. She's going to get you.
That's right. I told you that last episode. It's next to your mom's house. I told you that before.
The bait thing, it took us a lot of years to get some spots nailed down that'll give it to us consistently.
Yeah.
And it's gotten even harder lately because there's more and more people doing it. But, I mean, some of these places we've been getting bait from them for 10 years. Saguaro was at the top of the list. So we kind of cherry pick what we want out of that stuff.
Oh, that's good. And are you guys setting barrels in, because you're hunting the same area every year, are you setting barrels in like the exact same spot every year? Or are you switching that up a little bit?
For the most part, the exact same spot. There's a few of them where we've shuffled around because we've noticed, I mean, it can even be, well, here, a prime example is the one bait, we call it Area 51. That's my dad's bait that's always got just a ton of bears on it. We've had that we've moved it 3 times total over like a 10-year span. And each time we've moved it, it got better and better. And then finally we got to this one spot where it's at now. And even though it's inconvenient tree, there's all kinds of crap in the way now from blowdowns and stuff. But we don't want to move it.
Yeah.
There's so many bears on there, so we're just going to have to find different shooting positions and stuff like that. But
you know what blows me away is like how many bears there are per square mile in some of these units, like what you're talking about. I was having a conversation last week with Nate, who's on last week's episode. And we talked about this a little bit. Does it surprise you guys how many bears you get on camera? Because when you're spending all this time elk hunting and deer hunting and just getting out there scouting, whatever, you rarely actually see a bear until you're hunting them, right? Which is like the exact opposite. And so when you start getting all these bears, like I was blown away with how many bears I had on my camera on my barrel. Because I've been hunting that particular spot for a long time, and I knew there were bears. I've seen them up in the trees periodically, you know. I've seen the sign and everything else. But the point being, I didn't realize to that magnitude there was that many bears. Does that surprise you guys, or is that like just you? It's whatever.
It's that way every year. It's just strange that there are that many in an area and you don't see them. You think, man, if I drove down this road 40 times, I would see a bear at least every other time I drove down it.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah. And all the miles that we've put on up there in that spot over the last decade or so, I can count on one hand how many bears I've seen on the road, and it was one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even off the side of the road.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man. I think about this one time I was told in this particular unit that there were 4 bears per square mile. And I am telling you right now that there were bears coming from miles and miles and miles around if there were only 4 bears per square mile. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Anyways.
Like where we elk hunt, that's actually not the case. I mean, the bear density is actually really, really low.
Is it?
Like where we elk hunt. Where we bear hunt, that ain't the case. I mean, there's lots.
So they're totally different areas.
Oh, yeah. Like 6 hours apart, totally different areas.
Oh, wow, that's a big difference. Like mine?
Yeah.
I shot an elk right where my barrel was.
Oh,
That's how close together they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could have them all close together like that. But,
Yeah.
they're way far apart. And where we elk hunt, that bear density. Granted, I've actually seen more bears not on a bait where we elk hunt than where we bear hunt.
Really?
Yeah, kind of odd. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just randomly seeing them kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just random. And the last year that we actually did see a bear up elk hunting, him and I were actually coming down off of a saddle that I had actually killed a bull in like 2010. And it was a tanker chocolate. We were just 5 minutes too fast. That's literally all it was. We just happened to look back up kind of there, and Big Chocolate was walking up to the saddle we were just in.
Huh.
Like, oh. Worst part is we both had bear tags, too.
Yeah, we both still had our tags.
Do you guys...
So it's kind of like, well, whatever.
Have you ever shot a fall bear?
I haven't.
I haven't either.
Uh-uh.
I haven't either. So, well, I've never gotten a bear. So, and I'm pretty open with that. I've never even this year, this first season here was like my first official committed bear hunting with bait and all this kind of stuff. Like I went out a few times last year and just tried to spot and stalk and call them in or whatever, but this was my first year. So, and I got screwed because we were moving. I had my house sold, and I'm like, my wife was pissed because I was spending all this time out trying to hunt a bear, and we're trying to pack up the house, but anyway, next season's going to be a lot different. So I was just curious if you guys had like an opinion on taste wise bear meat, spring bear versus fall bear. I've heard a lot of varying opinions on that.
I can say spring bear is good, and. Yeah. I'm trying to remember if I've ever had fall bear, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Any wild game animal, as long as you honestly take care of it in the proper way, and you actually know how to cook. That's the other thing that I think a lot of people, they say, "Oh, my dog wouldn't eat it." Well, it's honestly because they don't know how to cook.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing of it.
You know, the best wild game advice... Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off there, Alex? We have kind of a delay here.
No.
The best wild game advice in terms of cooking that I've ever gotten was from one of the guests on this show. And he was talking about... And this guy's a chef. He's a chef for a living. He owns a pizza joint here locally. He talked about that the mistake people make is... worrying about whether there's adrenaline and versus no adrenaline versus, keeping it at this temperature or hanging it for this long. And he said that the biggest mistake people make with any kind of wild game is treating it as if it's all beef. And it's not. And so you don't cook it like you cook beef. And that kind of hit me because I kind of have always done that. I'll cook a deer steak the same way as like a T-bone or something, and I figured out that you can't really do that if you want the full flavor and to keep all the, I don't know, the taste
juices?
and the
The
juices
moistures?
and the moistures and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So
you definitely can't do that.
That's a good way to that's a good area to transition here and talk. I obviously I wanted to talk about elk hunting. Bear hunting. I love bear hunting and all that, but we got elk season coming, guys, and you guys are really good elk hunters, and I want to talk about some elk hunting. And Hazen, the one question I have for you, as we kind of move towards that, is why come to Idaho to hunt elk with all the giant bulls that are in Utah?
Oh man, well, the biggest thing is the season dates. They have them so early here that you get little to no rut activity. It's pretty much just a spot and stock hunt as far as the general ones. And then in the open units, especially the open bull units, which I hunt, I don't hunt any of the spike only units or anything like that.
I was going to clarify that. In Utah, you have open bull, which is any bull, or you have spike only. And most of it's spike only, but there's some open bull areas.
Yeah. And I mean, the herds are down quite a bit. And I mean, there's pockets that are loaded, but the thing is a lot of them get pushed onto private too. I mean, it could be a huge piece of public ground and a small piece of private, and everything will get ran into there.
Yeah.
But the herds up in Idaho are a lot bigger. You got a much better season with it being in September. And down here, like an archery elk tag is everybody's backup if they didn't draw a deer tag or any of the once in a lifetimes or anything like that. So it gets a little bit crowded.
Yeah. That is, and I'm not trying to rag on Utah or the DWR or whatever they call it down there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was insane, dude. I mean, it was like that even when I was a kid. Like opening morning deer season sounded like the D-Day invasion. And
yeah.
I mean, it was just an orange all over the place, and I have a bad taste in my mouth for some of the Utah seasons and the way they manage some of the units.
Oh yeah.
And again, if you're in Utah and you work for the DWR, is it DWR down there? Division of Wildlife Resources or something?
Yes, sir.
Don't take offense. I'm not trying to be offensive. But I mean, the seasons and the tags and the unit and the way that it's all managed, it sucks for a resident. It sucks. So
yeah, it gets pretty rough. They did cut a bunch of deer tags this year because they realized that it wasn't what they had.
What is going on in the background there?
Years.
Is somebody like Alex? Are you working on your house again?
No, I'm just sitting here.
Okay.
Listening.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, sorry. What, Hazen? Go ahead with that again.
So this season they've cut the tags quite a bit compared to the years past. And
like which ones? Open bowl or?
All of the general deer hunts.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, they didn't cut much for the elk.
Mm-hmm.
They actually made it this year for youth unlimited open bull tags.
Huh.
So it's just because they did realize that hunter recruitment was going down, especially where it's so hard to get a tag anymore. Even a general deer tag, some of them are taking 3-4 years to get a general deer tag.
Yeah, so I left Utah when I joined the Marines when I was 18, and I was gone for a long time, and I came back in 2008, and I made it. I don't remember if it was 3 seasons or 4 seasons, but there was a point in which I hit where my wife was wanting to come back to Idaho because we'd been in Idaho before, and I wanted to go back to Idaho just because of the hunting and the people that I knew up here. We had really close friends up here, and honestly we didn't have any down in Utah. Anyway, the point being, it was that last hunting season. My wife was like, what do you think about moving back to Idaho? Yeah, and I said, you know what? Let me jump on Craigslist and see if I can find a job. And I had a job in like 2 weeks. And we moved. We moved. Like it was just like that, man. I mean, and for me, it was because I have family in Utah, and they were like a little bent out of shape with me for leaving Utah again. But we'd spent most of our adult life at the time in Idaho, and I took that job down in Salt Lake. But the hunting is what killed me, man. I can't deal with, oh, you can't get this tag even though your family has a ranch in that unit, or you can't get that tag because they sold out because everybody is lined up at Walmart at 6 o'clock in the morning getting their tags. It just wasn't my thing. And I don't mean to rag on Utah hunting, but I would be super interested in your opinion of point systems versus bouncing that off of maybe Alex's opinion because he's an Idaho resident of point systems. That would be an interesting topic. What are your thoughts on that, Hazen?
That one's definitely a double-edged sword.
Is it?
Yeah, in one sense, I like knowing that, yes, eventually I'm guaranteed to get that tag. But sometimes when you're looking at those draw odds and it's 18, 19, 20, 25 years, it's kind of that battle trying to get to that, and it just kind of keeps creeping. And I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
And there is, so 50% of the tags will go to random, so you have a chance every single time. It's not like, I believe Colorado's highest points gets the tag no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Down here, I mean, there's people every year that will draw like a sheep tag or something with 0 points, but there's a guy that's got 22 points that didn't draw.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely one of those, it's a good thing in some senses, but in others it's bad because it's just a long road ahead when you look at it. Like that mountain goat tag that I drew this year, let's see, this is my 17th year putting in for it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of times where I was close, I was right there, but then people would shuffle units and it would stretch that out, and I'd get into that point creep. So I actually didn't even think I was going to get it this year. I thought that I was probably about 2 years away, yeah. So there must have been a shuffle somewhere.
I just have, from my perspective, a hard time thinking that any unit in the American West is so great over other units that I'd have to wait 20 or 25 years to draw a tag for. For me, that doesn't compute, and I'm not going to play the game. Because there's other options.
There absolutely is. I mean, some of the biggest bucks in the state of Utah are every year are killed on general units.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
I mean, the two biggest bucks that I've shot were both on general units. I mean, I've only drawn one limited entry tag for deer my whole life, but I still killed bigger bucks on general units.
Yeah, I don't know if listeners in this audience understand, but Utah has some freaking massive mule deer. Like, just insane mule deer. If you're anything like me, hunting is a year-round thing for you, and we're always thinking about how to make our next upcoming season a little bit better, and one way to do that is with gear. And you guys know I'm not a big gear junkie, but I do have some important gear items that I'm always a huge fan of, and they're right here available on this show. Let's talk about Scree gear. Scree is my go-to camo. Scree is high-performance hunting attire and gear, scientifically tested camo patterns, and all backed by a great company, and I wouldn't recommend it to you if I didn't truly believe in the Scree product. They've got a complete layering system for all terrain and conditions, gear designed to adapt to the weather. It's rugged gear. It's got a lifetime warranty, VIP sizing and exchange program. You can't go wrong with Scree. Get the best out there without breaking the bank, and to make it even better, use promo code The Western Huntsman for 15% off and free shipping. Hell of a deal. Check it out at ScreeGear.com. Next on the list is my oldest and fondest sponsor of the show is Phelps Game Calls. One thing I love about companies like Phelps Game Calls is the American success story that came out of it. And Phelps started in Jason Phelps' garage years ago, and it's now one of the premier hunting call companies on the market, and I wouldn't point you in that direction if I didn't feel like they were the best calls available. Jump on PhelpsGameCalls.com. When you find a call you like, use promo code Huntsman10 for 10% off. I promise you, you will not regret it. Hoffman Boots. Hoffman Boots is a go-to boot company I've been using for years and years and years. And the cool thing about it is I'm only on my second pair of Hoffman Explorers. I put lots of miles on my Hoffman Explorers. They're a great boot. They're not going to cost you a small fortune to get. And they have all the same guarantees and warranties that every other company out there has. If you want to be confident, guys, do not skimp on boots. Go to HoffmanBoots.com. Get you a pair of, for me, I like the 8-inch Explorers, but they also have the 6-inch. They have all sorts of different options. Check it out at HoffmanBoots.com and use promo code Huntsman10, all caps lock, for 10% off. And last but not least is Tacticam. Are you interested in filming your hunt? And are you interested in helping with conservation efforts throughout the North American continent, well, then I got a deal for you. Tactacam is a point of view type kind of camera that records in 4G. They also have other products like the film through scope, the FTS, and you attach that to your rifle scope and you can film your shot right there. And they have the mounts for your shoulder, for your head. You can mount it to your bow. You can mount it to wherever and whatever you want. Lots of versatility with the Tactacam. Other products include, but are not limited to, the fisheye camera. The Tactacam Spotter LR is definitely worth a look if you want to film what you're seeing through your glass while you're actively hunting and get it on camera. It's a great thing. But I think that the thing that I'm most excited about with Tactacam this year is the new Reveal cell cam that is coming out. This trail camera will send you images in real time as they're coming in. They've got like an enhanced antenna for better service. If you're like managing property or something like that, or you've got a bear bait set up somewhere that you have phone service, you can get those pictures right there to your phone. This cell cam is super, super cool. I'm really excited about it. And you can get all this at the westernhuntsman.com/gear. Go to the gear shop. You'll find all the Tactacam stuff right there. Best pricing out there on it. And what happens is we split the profitable revenue from these sales of the Tactacam gear, and half of it goes to conservation efforts, which vary depending on what quarter of the year it is. Right now we're raising money and trying to get some money over to Sportsman's Alliance. It's a great cause, and that is what's going to go down when you shop for Tactacam gear at thewesternhuntsman.com. So go over there and check it out and get you a camera. Guys, let's get back into it. I sure appreciate it. Alex, do you have like a contradicting or different perspective or opinion on the point system when you're looking at something like Utah and the way they manage versus Idaho?
In a way, I guess maybe. Like he stated, it's an ongoing battle. Am I going to draw finally this year? Because based on points. Well, in Utah, he did say, you have the random side of things, which is 50% are guaranteed to that.
Yeah.
When you look at non-resident tags, because that's what I am, I'm a non-resident to Utah. Where I drew my deer tag this year in Utah, there's 13 tags. Well,
how many points did you have to draw that?
I had 6.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you had 20 years into this thing.
Yeah. And really, in the reality of things, I'm right in the middle of where people on that particular unit draw tags. And it was kind of like one of them things like, you have a big dream of archery hunting the Ponce-Vient.
Uh-huh.
But you have to realize, and you have to sit there and you're like, I'm 31 years old right now. And I have 6 points. Can I wait another 20 years and bow hunt that when I'm 50? Well, in the reality of things, no, I'm a killer. I want to go hunt and I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hazen made this suggestion, and so I did it. And next thing you know, I have a muzzleloader buck tag. I've never even held a muzzleloader in my whole life. It's going to be like watching,
I'm going to record
honestly.
it. There's going to be a crash course for sure. It should be some entertaining moments.
It's probably gonna be like a retarded Chinese fire drill. I mean, that's the only way I can picture it, because it's something new, and it's different because you become kind of really profound with rifle hunting or rifle, just shooting a rifle. Or same with an archery or archery equipment, you get used to that. And then with the muzzleloader, you're like, new game.
Right? It's totally a different thing.
So to answer your question about the points game, it is a battle. And you will be guaranteed a tag at the end of the time. How many times will you be able to hunt, though, is the question. And that's the question I ask everyone.
And that was my problem. Go ahead.
With Idaho, I've got a friend this year that drew 3 of the greatest tags he could ever draw in his entire life, and he drew them in all 3 years, and that's because of the way Idaho's system is.
Mm-hmm.
And he can sit out 1 year and do it all over again in another year. But, there's a lot of people like myself that can't draw a tag either. So, I mean, it's contradicting to each other. But if I had to pick a system, I would honestly pick the Idaho system. And that's just because of the simple fact you can draw any given year. And everybody is at equal level playing fields. You know what I mean? They only have one pea in the pod, pretty much.
And as a resident, if you don't draw, you can hunt every year because we can always get a tag here. And that's an important thing to me. I don't want to, because I know dudes down in Utah that they hunt like every 10 years when they draw a tag. And these aren't great tags they're drawing. But if they don't draw a tag, they're not hunting. And see, when I was a kid, that wasn't an issue. We would go where we wanted in the state of Utah for the most part. There was a couple things like the Ponscont and I believe the Henry Mountains or something like that that were limited. But for the most part, you just go buy your deer tag or your elk tag and you go hunting, right? And then they switched everything to this point system, and I think the point system existed prior to that. I'm pretty foggy with that. I'm somewhat old, but it was just like this thing where it wasn't an issue. Hey, let's all get a tag for this particular mountain range that we all knew. Everybody buys a tag. We'll all go up and camp together and go off hunting, and it's a great time. Well, that's not really possible anymore, unless you're putting in as a group, and it kind of killed the whole family, friends, group hunting thing. And by the time I left Utah, the only over-the-counter deer tag you can get was that Northern unit, which isn't a terrible unit, by the way. I actually got a couple of nice bucks up there, but at the same time, I have a family ranch down in central Utah that is butted up against these mountains that if I could have gotten a tag there, I knew where all the big bucks were. So it's such a, I feel like people that have never lived in a state with a point system and that kind of management system think that that's a good idea. And then the people that live in that kind of state that has that kind of point system and management system despise it based on the amount of people I talk to. And there's like a disconnect between those two groups. And there's people in Idaho that are barking for, starting this point system and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, you have never lived somewhere like that. I wish you'd just sit down and get your tag and go hunting and just not worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't push it.
And what drives me honestly nuts, and it's they don't understand it to start with, and they also don't even apply out of state. I mean, I drew my buck tag in Utah this year, so I threw Montana out. I didn't put in for any other states, and people don't realize there's different types of point systems too. That's the other thing. And they all have their positive sides. They all have their negative sides. Idaho has their positive sides and negative sides.
For sure.
But in the reality of things, Idaho honestly has it really honestly pretty good. I mean,
they do.
You do. It's different.
It's a great system.
It is a great system. Unfortunately, it's kind of really filling up. By the way, Idaho's full. Go away, people.
Yeah, there are no more California applications allowed here. You can't come here.
It's full.
You're driving up our housing prices. Stay there. Fix it. Who said that?
Yeah, for sure. That's too funny.
No,
but it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And I kind of have a skewed perspective on as far as trying to draw a general deer tag here in Utah. I have a lifetime hunting license, which here gives me a deer tag every year. So the whole family hunt, me, my dad, my brother, we all have those lifetime licenses. And so we can pick whatever general unit we want each year and which season, whether it be archery, muzzleloader, or rifle. And so for me, that part, it doesn't affect me a lot. I know it does the other people and some people that I hunt with, and I have other family members that have to draw every year too. So I don't have the greatest perspective on having to get that deer tag, but I definitely understand where everybody's coming from on it, because I mean, it just gets harder and harder, and now my kids having to do it. My nephews had to, but
and maybe I'm unique in this way, but I know Utah, the idea is they're managing for quality versus quantity of hunts, right?
Correct. Yep.
And I understand that, but for me, I had the opportunity to shoot multiple raghorn bulls last year and some bigger bulls and blah 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 in a very general over-the-counter unit. And people, you know, I was checking when I'd come back into service, I'd like check in on Facebook or whatever, and people are like, "Oh, it's too crowded. We need a point system." No, bitch, you need to get out of your truck and walk. Like it's not. I didn't see anybody for 3 freaking days, and I'm in a very crowded unit. Like you got to get over this point system thing. And anyways, the point being, I would rather have the opportunity to shoot multiple raghorns in a season than draw every 10 years for the opportunity to shoot a 300-inch bull. Granted, I'd love to shoot a 300-inch bull, but my objective is to fill my freezer and enjoy the experience. And if I can't do that on an annual basis, I don't know. It's not worth it to me. It is not worth it to me.
Well, the other thing with them draw hunts is they're stressful, because you have such that stretched out time in between you when you can draw that tag.
Mm-hmm.
And I drew a bull tag in 2014, and I mean, it was the coolest but the worst hunt I have been on, because it was like, if I don't kill a bull, I'm not going to be able to do this for another 15 years.
Oh, man, here. That would stress me out.
Yeah, it was a mess. And I mean, I hunted, I can't even remember how many days of the season, like 3/4 of it. And I put on hundreds of miles on my boots, and there's just a couple chance encounters in some weird spots. But I mean, the whole time my brother is telling me, just calm down. And it's hard. They're where you gotta wait so long, they're just not really fun.
Well, yeah, kind of like you said, you know, he's got to wait basically 15 years to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I applied for, I have 6 years worth of points at a non-resident license fee was like $65. I don't know what it is now, plus my application fees. Mm-hmm. And I have literally a 10-day hunt. That's what it is. That's what the season is. And so you have to be willing to also be prepared to put everything you have into it and really do your homework.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree, man. Totally agree.
But on the flip side, when you go somewhere that doesn't have that, and I can't even count on one hand how many bulls we see every year.
Mm-hmm. Oh. So let's talk about that. How many bulls we're seeing each year, and let's talk about some elk hunting, because I'm trying to shift all the conversations towards kind of elk hunting. You know, I know we do the School of September series and all that, which is super specific. But I always want to, during the summer, we get excited. You know, the temperatures remind you what's coming, and just, you know, September's just around the corner, guys. What are we, 6 weeks, if that? Like it's there. Coming, and I'm stoked this year, man. I've got, I don't know. Well, no, I'm not gonna get into that. Other than I'm a little worried about the drought we've been having up here if they shut down like the national forest. But anyway,
Well, that's the neighbors to the east there, or to the west that'll do that still.
They did. Like
Yeah.
Eastern Washington, I've got some friends over there that are in panic mode because yesterday they announced they were shutting the national forest down, all public land, so state, federal,
Yeah.
whatever, any public land. They're going to shut it down on, I can't remember the date, in a couple of days. So any scouting prior to September, they're kind of up a creek. And that sucks. That really sucks.
They did the same thing in a couple of the national forests and stuff down there in Arizona. They did the same deal.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I think it was last week they shut a bunch of them down.
Shoot, man. I'm going to Arizona to hunt this year. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And it's not the whole state. It's just a couple of particular spots is all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Congrats on your Coos tag, man.
Thanks,
That's
dude.
awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I was excited. So it was weird. I didn't think I drew it because my buddy down there, he's like, "Oh yeah, everybody's got a hit on their card, so you should have a look." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't have anything." He's like, "You must not have drawn." I'm like, "That sucks." And a week goes by, and then bam, they hit my card. So pretty excited.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have a hell of a time, dude. It'll be great.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun, man. Anyway, with elk, I wanted to. Alex and I were talking, Hazen, and I want to get like everybody's opinion on this. Alex and I were talking about what you can and can't get away with during elk season, right? And like is in terms of sounds and visual things that it's interesting. Like, well, I mean, it's just that simple. What you can get away with in front of an elk, because I feel like deer are somewhat more intuitive in terms of when they hear a strange noise or they see something that is just out of place. And the things I've got away with especially with whitetail, like it doesn't even compare. Elk, I get away with a lot more, and I want to get your guys' take on that. What do you guys think? Alex, do you want to start with you?
It's weird because some bulls you could jump up and honestly do a jumping jack. That's the way I feel about them. Yeah. You could do a jumping jack and you could be getting away with it. Other bulls, it's kind of like they kind of tiptoe in and they're an oversized mule deer more or less. And they're looking for every little thing that could be wrong to leave.
What is the craziest thing that you've ever gotten away with in front of an elk?
Last year, hands down, Hazen's bull.
Okay, I got to hear this story.
Bare, like straight up bare bottom. I mean, it's the dumbest freaking thing in the world.
I thought that was over probably 8 or 9 times.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, I'll try and make the story short because I know we're on a timeline here, but we'd been chasing a dandy bull. I mean, he's probably in the like 320s, 330s maybe size class. And, well, he went up the bottom and then went up another ravine, and we knew that, you know, you go up that and with the thermals changing, it's going to be game over. And so to keep him in the drainage, we stayed in the bottom and away from him, which is the hardest thing to do as a elk hunter, is because you're like, oh my God, this thing's like just a nice bull. You know, you got to go after it. Well, there's not really a real simple way of doing that. I mean, in the terms of, especially like where we elk hunt. So we stayed in the bottom, and we knew from the night before, because Hazen and I had actually split up. He went into this canyon, and I went into a different spot, and we went solo just to cover ground because we were getting beat to death pretty much.
Yeah, it was a rough one for a while.
Yeah, it was honestly one of the most miserable elk hunts I've ever been on. And we
can I ask you a quick question about it?
Yeah.
What part of the month was this?
We generally actually go the last week of September.
Okay. All right.
We've played the moon phase game a couple of times. In the reality of things, I don't personally think it makes a difference. Hazen might have an opposite opinion of that, but we went up the bottom, and this canyon, it like wise, and then it goes forever long again. And he had seen like, half dozen to 10 bulls the night before in this canyon. So we're like,
they were stacked in there.
Like, there's got to be other bulls. So let's just kind of like, let's play it smart, not push the big dog out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just see what happens. And so we kind of meandered up the bottom, and we got to the Y, and I'm like, God, I'm hungry. And Hazen's like, me too. It's like 10:30. We've been up since 4:30. It's breakfast time.
Yeah.
And
we were on like day 8 or something.
Yeah, it's like
day 8 straight.
Like, I'm to the point, I'll kick my boots off, which that's not a good thing because my feet think to high hell. Like, this is bad.
Yeah,
like,
that ain't happening.
Yeah, it's like
it chases
bad.
all the elk up in 3 states.
Dude, no, I could chase out a whole restaurant of people with just taking my boots off.
You don't need any kind of bug repellent. You just take your shoes off and you don't get mosquitoes.
I take it's pretty bad. And so we get to this spot, and it's kind of like some open sagebrush type stuff. I mean, it's like, I'd say maybe the brush is like 18 inches tall for the most part, with a few little scrub pines that are like 2 foot tall. And I'm like, well, let's find a spot. And we find this spot, and I'm like, well, before we, I guess, bust our backpacks open, let's maybe call a couple of times, see if anything answers before we do something dumb. Well, we called, and nothing happened. Then the big dog answered up there, and we're like, yeah, screw you, whatever. And so we literally sat down and dug into our backpacks and had shit spread from here to Kingdom Come, because it's like breakfast time.
Yeah.
And
well, that bull bugled when the big bull bugled at us. The bull that I shot, I'm pretty sure he bugled, I don't know, 200 or 250 yards away, but he's in the timber, so we just figured, we'll wait and go mess with him once he beds down.
Yeah.
And so I get a granola bar out, and I'm eating this granola bar, and I look over, and Hazen's doing his thing over there, whatever he's doing. And I take a bite, and I remember, I look up, and I have this, you know how like a dry granola bar is? It's like miserable.
Crunchy.
You can't choke that shit down. Like, there ain't no choking it down, and there ain't no spitting it out either.
Yeah.
And I look up, and this bull is standing on the edge of the timberline. And I'm like, oh fuck. Like that's the instant, like, that's just bare bottom words to it. Like, oh fuck. and I'm like,
how far away?
Like
you said at
like
edge of timber.
80 yards.
Oh, 80 yards. Okay. Okay.
Like 80 yards. And so Hazen is like, what? And I point over the trees, and he's like, oh God, like, there's an oak right there. And I'm like, yeah, there's an oak right there.
Was he looking at you?
He's kind of like looking over towards us.
General direction. Gotcha.
Yeah, kind of general direction. And I'm like, oh, this is totally going to go up in smoke. We're sitting in the wide open. We have like no trees, and the wind's swirling like it's like about to switch. Yeah, this elk is like toast. Like, this is not going to go well.
He's out of here.
Yeah, he should have left
this is
a whole bunch of times.
and the parts in between, I don't really remember if somebody honestly cow called or something, but this bull was kind of,
it was dead silent. We didn't make a sound because we were too exposed.
And this bull kind of meanders over, and there's like some like ravines that are like, I'd say they're like as deep as a pickup is tall.
Mm-hmm.
And this bull kind of comes over, and he kind of comes up, and then he's like 25 yards. And I'm thinking, oh, this ain't good. Like this.
The wind is completely blowing over the back of us right to him.
Yeah,
Really?
Like 100%. Not
he
even
didn't
at
care,
an angle or anything.
Like,
no, he did not care.
And then I looked over, and my granola bar wrapper is blowing up from the ground like this great big giant twinkling star. And I'm like, oh, this is really, this is so screwed. Like, this is like beyond messed up. Like, don't test us here, Lord. It's been 8 days of hell. We don't need a ninth.
Yeah.
And the bull literally just kind of like, he was so love drunk pretty much because we'd hyper cow called, and he was looking for that cow in estrus. He was really looking for that cow, and he already knew that bull was across the canyon. The big dog was across the canyon and up the ridge. He already knew that, so he could steal this cow. This was his chance to breed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so just a quick pause. Do you guys have a call sitting there you can demonstrate this sound you made? I'm just curious.
I don't have one.
You don't have one on you?
I didn't.
Dude, all my freaking calls are in my storage unit like an hour away right now because I accidentally put the wrong bin in there. I gotta go dig it out, man. Anyway, okay, carry on with the story then.
So this bull kind of walks down, and well, I'm not gonna shoot an arrow over Hazen's head because he's closer. Plus, his tag's more expensive, so I don't really honestly care about my $30 oak tag, nor do I need to meet my freezer. So I'm kind of like trying to hunker down, like I don't even know what the best situation is here. So I'm kind of like, oh God, I'm just gonna lay in the bushes here, type of thing. And I seen an arrow fly, and it looked like it hit good, and that bull went 70 yards approximately from where it was shot to down. Probably actually less than that. It's probably like 40. It's probably like 40.
Yeah, it was less than that even. But yeah, it was short. It was really close.
When you hit him, did he run uphill or downhill?
He ran down.
Okay. And
he timbered over, and I mean that was that, and it was kind of a bittersweet moment because not only was it, like I'm standing there with my best friend in the whole wide world, and he just finally punched an elk tag after 8 days of hell, and our unit was floodgated, and it was a mess last year.
What do you mean floodgated?
Well, we just before the pre-non-resident changes of things.
Oh, so it was crowded. It was super crowded.
Oh, it was crowded. It was crowded.
Between hunters, and then everybody was off because of COVID. So I mean, there was more fishermen there this year than we've seen in the last 6 years. And
campers and 4-wheeler riders and hikers. I mean, it was kind of like
bird watchers.
Yeah,
it was like busy.
It was busy, and so we were taking like this, video, and we're doing the high five thing, and it's cool. Well, like 2 days before that, we'd watched the military practice flying, their missions or whatever, their test practices, flying real low through the canyons and then hitting the side of the mountain and going straight up, and like practicing for like Iraq and Afghanistan and all them places where currently the U.S. has issues.
And so they're like training down there, huh?
Yeah.
Out of the Air Force base?
Yeah, out of the Air Force, one of the Air Force bases. Don't know which one, but
how do you know that it wasn't a bunch of military dudes that had elk tags and they were just hunting? I mean, they got guns on those. They got guns on that shit.
They were in the right spot then.
They were in the right spot.
Huh.
But it was kind of really cool because I remember we were getting ready to take pictures, and Hazen's got a hold of this bull, and I mean, it's a typical Idaho raghorn. I mean, he's a 4-point bull. I mean, that's what he is. But it doesn't take the fact away from, it's cool.
It's way cool, man. I mean, like that shouldn't even be explained. A freaking elk with a bow. I don't care if it's in the negative on points. A freaking elk with a bow it's an accomplishment, man.
And so the best part is like we're getting ready, and he has a hold of this bull's horns, like we're kind of getting him rearranged and stuff. But we can hear those jets coming. And Hazen busts out his phone, and my phone's like all tangled up in my pocket, and I was just like not fast enough. Well, the only thing that he screwed up on was he forgot to hit the record button.
I double punched it.
Yep.
Oh, that would have been cool, man.
And
I was pretty pissed afterwards.
Yeah.
Dang.
But
yeah, that would
I mean, there was
ass.
There was literally a whole lot of America going on in that canyon that day.
Man, that
I mean,
been,
it was
all you would have needed to add to that is like a flag and like a smoke grenade to kind of have in the background. Oh man, that would have been way cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a pair of them. I mean, they weren't more than 100 yards above us when they came over that ridge.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean,
that's cool, man.
And then, I mean, we were sitting there like skinning his bull out, and there's mountain goats up on the hill, and we've seen deer over in this meadow, and I mean, that's what being a bow hunter's about.
Oh, totally.
I mean, that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line of it.
It's magic, man. It is total magic. I love the story, and what I really like about it is what you kind of highlighted there, with like, okay, we're sitting there, we're having lunch, we're not actively trying here, but you made some sounds, and the bull was interested. And between granola bars and fighter jets and everything else that could have gone wrong, that thing still came in, and he got a shot off, and he didn't even go 40 yards and died. And that is just, that's what hunting is, man. And it's this drive to experience that exact kind of thing that you'll remember your entire life, and that story that you'll always have. And I love that kind of stuff, man. I like the hair on the back of my neck stands up when you guys tell stories like that. Even if it is just a 4-point. Everybody says that, it's just a 4-point. No, bullshit, man. It's a 700-pound elk. And it's an elk that you got with a bow. Not to take away from rifle hunters by any means, but it is just a huge accomplishment. It's such a different thing that people, can you imagine being one of those people that live in these huge, like, how do you say that word? Metropolitan areas, like Los Angeles or Philadelphia, or some of these places. There's people that live in those kind of places that never even leave the city, and they've
never seen outside world at all.
They've never seen a world without concrete, and we're out here experiencing this in the places that we go. And there's those kind of people that they will never have that kind of experience. It's such a unique thing, and it's such a moving, like, spiritual thing. Not to sound like cheesy or anything, but everybody needs a little cheese in their life. No. So that's what it is, man. And it's just an amazing thing. And I love hearing. You could tell I'm excited. I just love hearing stuff like that.
And it was a super different type of feeling. I don't know how to word it.
It was moving, man. It's a moving situation.
It was moving.
Yeah, it was nice to finally have it come together after all the work and everything we've done, even prepping for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I switched from shooting right-handed to left-handed in July last year. Oh.
Really?
That was another big thing, being able to get that monkey off my back.
Now, say that one more time, Hazen. You switched from shooting right-handed to left-handed?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
I got some damage in my right eye a few years ago, and it started affecting my vision, especially when I'm looking through my peep.
Gotcha.
Everything was just blurry. I couldn't differentiate the pin from the target. And I'm left eye dominant anyways, and I actually grew up shooting left-handed, but then went to right-handed for convenience.
Yeah.
So when I couldn't see very good, I was like, screw it. I'm just going to jump ship on the right-hand deal, go left-handed, and just go for it. And I had killed an antelope last year left-handed, which was the first thing, and that was less than a month from switching. But then that elk, that was kind of the one, like, telling me, okay, you really can do this. Like,
God,
you're
that's nuts,
able
dude.
to do the switch hit.
Do you feel like that misses? Oh, sorry, Alex. Did I cut you off, dude?
Just kind of for a second, but it wasn't even
Go.
It wasn't even the elk telling him that he can do this. The dude killed a 78-inch goat with me last year too, a 78-inch pronghorn that, I spent 40 days scouting, something like that. And to be able to make that transition, and sometimes you like, all right, dude, like, I know you're my best friend and all, but you really think you can do this? Like, you kind of like you sit in your mind and you're like, I don't know about this.
I always tell Alex, don't ever doubt me.
Well, and I don't worry about those issues as far as a hunting partner and relationship goes with Hazen. But when he made that transition, obviously that left arm is a lot weaker because you haven't been doing that with that arm.
Plus the muscle memory, man. Think about the muscle memory there.
Yeah, it was a struggle. I tried to, when I brought that bow home, even just in my house, because where I'm at, I can't shoot in my backyard.
Yeah.
I'm sure the cops would be here within 15 minutes if I did. But I was trying to get between 50 and 100 arrows every night just to build that muscle up.
So you have to, like, drive out and find, there's probably a range around there, huh?
Yeah, we have the Easton Archery Center that's just down the street from my house, and down there, I mean, you can shoot, I think it's 90 yards inside in the air conditioner. So
that's not bad.
Nice.
Yeah, that's super nice, man. Hey, Alex.
Yeah, but
Alex, are you proud of me or disappointed that I got a PSE?
I'm actually proud of you.
I'm just proud I bought a new bow, man.
Being a little tiny part of, I'm not going to claim a big part because I'm just a guy that walks in, and when I see the counter slammed at Advantage Archery, I help out, and that's Caleb Drake has given me tenfolds more than I have ever deserved in my entire life. I can honestly, straight up be honest about it. But PFC has created a new monster that actually does compete with Hoyt.
You're talking about the Evo?
Yep, the Evo cam. I'd shoot it. I really would. Would shoot it.
If we can get together, you can shoot my bow. I love it, dude. But I only have my old bow to compare it to. So, I mean, I'm not some expert in different brands.
Well, the thing is, though, is you as a person. I mean, I'm a Hoyt and I'm a PSC kind of guy. That's what I am. And I did staff for Martin for a long time when I was a lot younger.
Mm-hmm.
But in the reality of things, if you're a talented shooter, it doesn't honestly really matter what bow you have in your hand as long as you're comfortable with it. I mean, you could be shooting a 1997 Barnett and drive X's, and
I forgot about those.
but that's the reality of things. And as long as you're comfortable with it, run it.
That's where I'm at. But Hazen, what kind of bow do you shoot?
I shoot a Hoyt.
Do you? You guys are both Hoyt guys.
Well, and I had a PSE before I got this one.
You did?
But I'm one of those guys, I don't brand schmand. It don't matter to me.
No.
I will bounce around. I mean, I've shot PSE, I've shot Matthews, Elite, Prime. It's just whatever is comfortable at the time.
Yeah.
There are some years where there's a few bow models that come out and you're like, that thing is just not. That's weird. It doesn't feel right. But the guy next to me, it might be his favorite bow he's ever owned.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing, and that's the part where I don't really honestly get too much into it. Like, I know they're all good. They all have their negatives and they all have their positives. They're all great bows. But the thing to me that was honestly the most amazing thing to actually see last year wasn't the fact that we got away. I mean, that was pretty amazing that we got away with him killing that bull. But it was actually his antelope. He had a killer antelope tag last year, and it's a unit that we've both hunted time before, and we've killed some really awesome pronghorn out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
I shot the first day with him, and this goat showed up, and it was kind of like it honestly kind of caught us with our pants down more or less. And it was kind of like, it's not the buck we're after, but that's a great buck, you know, like, and so it ended up walking away. Well, the next day it was like, okay, game time. We arranged it after we got to watch it for like 45 minutes. We're like, that was a total screw up.
Yeah, about the time it walked away, I went, oh, you dumbass, what are you doing? You should have shot that one.
and needless to say, my boss that I still currently am employed by, he had the same tag, and he had shot a buck, and it was, you know, lower light, and so I went out the next day to help him find it. And so I kind of told Hazen what's going on, and he's like, okay, not a problem, you know, I'll go sit in blind. And I'm like, that buck showed up at literally 5 o'clock on the dot. I'm going to go sneak over there now and watch it. And I watched it from 2 miles away, the whole spiel go down.
That's cool.
And it was like super cool. The only thing that sucked is I literally forgot my phone scope in my truck.
Do you like those, man? I need to get one of those.
I like them. I mean, It's kind of retarded because it's like $90 in a piece of plastic, but do they work? Hell yeah, they work.
I heard you can get canceled for saying retarded nowadays. Is that true?
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out. 'Cause I just
That'd be
said
retarded if you got canceled for saying retarded.
Right? But I watched him shoot this buck, and I'm like, okay, I know he hit it. And I watched the antelope, and his legs are starting to like fall out from underneath of him, and then it just kind of like bloop, fell over.
Fell down.
What was amazing is when I went up there, I did not realize that he had shot that sucker like a little bit quartering to him. That broadhead at only like 60 pounds went all the way through that buck and was sticking 2/3 of the way out of the joint in the hip bone.
What broadhead are we talking?
It's a
Slick trick viper trick. And I'm only shooting a 400 grain arrow. I'm shooting a light arrow at 60 pounds. I think I'm only shooting like 275 feet a second. And that arrow, when it went into that, it's the hind leg joint. It went all the way buried to the back of the blades. The blades are flush with the bone in the actual joint.
Wow.
I mean, the
awesome.
amount of penetration was crazy. And
is that a 2 or a 3 blade?
It's a 4 blade. So it's basically 2 main ones and then 2 shorter bleeder blades.
Gotcha. Wow. That's pretty impressive.
I was impressed.
Yeah. I mean, over the years, I've shot probably 30 different broadheads and killed animals with them. And that one is by far the most impressive one that I've shot.
So, and that's why I'm asking, guys, is because I've been shooting the same bow, basically the same arrow, and only like 2 different broadheads over the last a little over a decade. And I'm just stubborn like that. Okay, this works, you know, blah blah blah. So this year I'm trying all new shit, and it's going to be interesting. So anyway, that's why I asked. But
it's always good. I shot different broadheads the year before last. Killed stuff with those. I had never shot them before. I like to try different stuff. You never know. You might find the greatest one. Before that, I had shot Wacom 4-blade broadheads for probably 6 years. And that's probably my second favorite. I mean, I have shot a pile of stuff with those, and I've never had a single issue with them. Yeah. Penetration's been phenomenal, and blood trails have been insane.
Good to know. Yeah, I've never been, like you had mentioned earlier, you're not a big brand guy. I am definitely not a brand guy. I mean, I can't even tell you what the brands are of half the stuff I use during hunting season. I don't know. Looks good, I buy it, and it works. Whatever.
Yeah. I'm not a brand guy unless it's bear stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm learning. Interestingly, the one thing that has really taught me a lesson is, do you guys have riding lawnmowers?
No, I don't.
My dad does.
All right. Well, here's the thing. I have where I live. If you've got lawn, it's usually big, and you need a riding lawnmower. And I'm not saying that because everybody has these big, whatever. It's because we live out in the country, right? And so I've got friends that buy these really expensive riding lawnmowers that get them 2, 3, 4 years before they need to go spend a bunch of money in repairs on them. 7 years ago, I bought a used Craftsman lawnmower from this dude that fixed it up, and he's like, I'll sell this lawnmower to you for $500, and it's a piece of shit. And I thought, man, if I can get a couple of years out of this, I'd be happy. $500. Guess what? I'm still cruising around on this damn Craftsman lawnmower that I bought for $500, and it still runs like a champ. Now, in my current situation, as of about 4 weeks ago, I don't have any lawn to worry about, so I took the blade, the actual mower part off of it, so it's just like now it's a little mini tractor to haul logs or whatever, but
little lawn tractor.
Exactly. And the thing runs like a champ, dude. It starts up every time. The only problem is I popped a tire on it once, and I put a new tire on it. And so the point being is you never know. Like, Craftsman is not considered one of the best lawn tractors out there, right?
Yeah.
But this thing is cooking along. I spent $500 on it almost a decade ago, right? And so it's such a hard thing. It's such a hard concept to compute for me to drop a certain amount of money on certain things because they're this brand. I have a hard time with it. But there are certain things where it makes sense, And so, anyways, guys, we're going on 2 hours here. We need to wrap this up. And I feel like we didn't even cover everything we wanted to cover. What do you say?
Well, we can have another episode.
We might have to.
Yeah.
I have an algorithm thing that I monitor, and it tells me exactly when I need to cut the length of the podcast off, or people just stop listening anyway. So we're right there. So, and that was partly my fault because I get rambling. But I warned Alex. I will.
Well,
ramble.
I already know.
Yeah.
You're the new Chatty Cathy. New Chatty Cathy.
I'm kind of a Chatty Cathy. And that's okay, because that's why we get along, dude.
That's worse than me. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, happens.
It's helpful at times, for sure.
It can be. My wife is super reserved and shy, and I'm super outgoing and talkative, and so we're like this good mix in public. She'll kick me if I'm talking too much, or she'll kick me if I need to talk more to cover her ass because she won't want to talk. So anyway, it works out.
That's too funny.
But
on that topic, if I
go for it.
It's a quick one. Talking about Chatty Cathy's. So we were elk hunting a few years ago, and we see this guy bringing this bull down off the mountain. And we're like, oh, cool, we'll wait till he gets to the truck. And his dad's there waiting. And this was before I knew how, let's see, what is the word I'm looking for? I could tell Alex the honest truth of what I was thinking.
What are you saying? Now you can't?
No, now I can. Back then, it was still kind of new.
I misheard. I misunderstood. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think the guy was asking some questions, and it was just kind of a little huffy-puffy, but still nice. And then the guy had a really nice bull. It was like a 300-inch, maybe a little bit less than that, 6 point.
Wow.
He's pretty proud of it. And when we get back to camp, I was like, man, you need to just calm down. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, dude, if you talk to me like that, I'd have beat your ass right there on the dirt road. It's just, he still wanted to talk, but he wasn't paying attention to what he was saying. He was speaking before he was thinking, and some of the stuff was like, that's normal talk between us, but I don't think other people want to have to deal with that.
Well, it happens, but that's a sincere person too. No, that's great. It was funny when you were telling that story. My thumb accidentally hit mute on my microphone there, so I went silent. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. After that time, I was like, hey, dial it back. And now he'll ask me, was that too much? No, you're fine.
Well, at least he's got some self-awareness.
Yeah, but
oh yeah.
Now it's like he'll tell me like, you need to go over there and talk to them. All right, give me a beer. I'll go over there. Let's go talk to him. Him and TJ hide the camper.
It definitely does have its advantages, that's for sure.
Okay, personal recommendations on favorite beer.
I'm a Coors Light guy.
Good man.
Yeah, that's Coors Light. Unless it's like a micro brewery, then it's Moosterville all day long.
And I really hope Hazen's dad listens to this.
Ugh.
Busch Light and Busch beer sucks, Jeff.
Yeah, he's a diehard Busch beer guy, and he has been forever since I was a kid.
God, Busch, man, that's panther piss. Yeah, that's terrible. I can't. I was gonna see if you wanted to get your dad on, but if he drinks Busch Light, I just don't know if I can pull it off. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
So it's pretty fun. It's always like a running joke, especially at bear camp. It's like, God, I'm gonna have to drink Busch beer. I better just start with that, because if I drink anything else before that, it's just gonna taste like shit when I gotta drink Busch beer.
Dude, do you guys still have that Utah beer where you have to drink a 12-pack to even fill it, or have they upped that since then?
No, they changed it to the same as everybody else, because the breweries were like, no, we're not going to just make you guys a special beer anymore. You're going to have to just get with the times. So
it's about time,
we have
dude.
full
what the
power
hell's
beer.
with that? So it's my uncle lives down in Utah, and he could drink beer like a fish until he came up and visited us a few years ago in Idaho. Well, this was a few years ago. He comes up and starts drinking some Idaho beer, and he about killed over by 7 o'clock at night. I'm like, dude, you can't drink beer like that here. Like, what is this?
Yeah, that's too funny. Yeah, it's like a 12-pack down here. Back then was like a 6-pack up there.
I always thought it was like a good business move from the brewery, because you have to like produce and sell twice the amount of beer to get the same effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's kind of screwbally about it is, like, you go down to the liquor store and you could buy beer that was 10%.
I know, man.
All the micro breweries and stuff had a higher alcohol content.
Yeah.
Just the grocery stores and the gas stations didn't.
Yeah. And they won't sell it to you on Monday or Sunday sometimes in certain counties.
Yeah, in certain counties they won't. And I actually think that might have changed this year in the one particular county that was that way.
I'll never forget when I got pulled over on a Sunday in North Carolina, and the dude asked me where I was going, and I told him I was going deer hunting. And he said, well, that's a problem, because you can't hunt on Sundays in North Carolina. And I laughed in his face, thinking that he was full of it. But it was true. He brought this big book over to my truck, because he knew I was stationed there in the military, not normally, not familiar with it. And he knew I had a Utah driver's license at the time. And I'm like, well, you can't hunt on Sunday. Give me a break, And he brings this big book over, and I'm like, man. And he shows it to me. The what do you call that? The statute, the piece of legislation, whatever it is, shows it to me, and I was blown away, man. And he started laughing at me for laughing at him, and he's like, I'm just going to let you out because you were speeding. But you just need to go back and, put your rifle up, go hunting tomorrow or something. And anyway, it's interesting, those kind of different nuances throughout the country, right?
Yeah, it's strange stuff for sure.
For sure.
I think it was the same way in Pennsylvania until I think this year
all through, like several of the East Coast or like southern states, southeastern states. That's a thing. They can't hunt on Sunday. So
strange for sure.
Super strange.
So
anyway,
before this all ends too, we gotta give a shout out to Nick Hopkins over at Boardmasters too, because Hazen and I wouldn't have had a season like we would have if it wasn't for Boardmasters. So
I will tell you, I don't know him, and I've never tried that stuff. And
you're missing out, brother.
I know, but it contradicts. I'm a Batum 907 guy, and it's nothing against Boardmaster. It's just Batum 907 is what I use, and it was great for me. And so I want you to give him a better shout out than you just did. He deserves better.
No, Nick deserves the world. He honestly does. He's treated Hazen and I so great that it blows my mind.
Yeah, I've been using his stuff since I started, and I've tried countless different ones in and out, like mixing them, using them all at the same time, but in different bait sites. And this one, Boardmasters, has always been my go-to. And great product, great customer service for sure.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of what I do in terms of some of these brands out there. Hey, I don't if I'm promoting like a competitor product, because I will. I am a Batum 907 guy. Nothing's going to change me from that. But that does not mean that I'm looking down on your product. I don't know you. I don't know the product. I've never used it. And I have a relationship. And I was explaining this on somebody on social media, where a lot of the stuff that I use, gear-wise or otherwise, it's very much relational for me. I know the people, right?
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
And you have to. It's kind of like it's like a mom and pop shop. Like, okay, so in my little teeny tiny town of Buell, Idaho, we have 3 pizza places, and I go to the train station. That's where I go. That's my local watering hole. That's my pizza joint.
Oh, that's where you called me that one time. You had too many beers. You're like, I'm at the pizza place drinking beer.
Yeah.
I see.
I've done it to Hazen too, probably.
Yeah. I usually don't answer the phone after 8:30.
But we have a Domino's now. They don't serve alcohol of any sort whatsoever. And then we also have another place. And I choose mom and pop. Well, it's kind of like the same thing. You're choosing a mom and pop shop. It's kind of like Phelps game calls. Mm-hmm. Hazen and I run Phelps game calls. They're awesome. They last. They work. They've proven themselves. So why not continue with something that you do know works?
For sure.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly, and it's again. I have a relationship with Phelps. I have a relationship with the owner of Hoffman Boots, and if I'll use Hoffman Boots as an example. If Hoffman Boots was a shitty boot, they would not be a sponsor on the show, regardless of whether or not I know the owner. But because I know the owner and I've been using those boots and they've never failed me, it's a great product to recommend, right? And so it all starts with a relationship, and so that's where it comes from. And I always like to explain that to people. But anyway, guys, we are super long here. We are past what I am supposed to run these for, and that is always a sure sign that it was a good conversation. We had a lot of fun, and I think the audience is going to get a lot out of this. Again, this is just hunting banter. I want to do more of these kind of episodes where it's just banter. There's no like real objective with the show. It's just banter. And I think they're the most fun and sometimes they're the best to listen to. So you listeners out there, if you have an opinion on that, shoot me an email at jim@thewesternhuntsman.com and let me know what you think. Do you like hunting banter? Do you like actual directed topics? That always helps me as well. So Hazen and Alex, you guys, as always, you guys were a lot of fun to have on. I appreciate you guys coming on and taking the time listening to me yak and host this show for almost 2 hours here. That says a lot about your character and your patience. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Well,
we appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, as always, Jim, you're one of a kind.
You guys will come on again, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
We'll be back. We might have to have a middle of a school September, or I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Guys,
there might be some wild stories after the goat hunt.
Yeah,
there might be one of them too.
I'd love to hear some of that. That'd be awesome. It'd be cool if I can connect with you guys in September, where I'm out on the mountain. If you guys have service where you're at on the mountain, and we can like connect and catch up and see how your season's going halfway through.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Absolutely.
For sure.
We can definitely do something like that.
Well, thanks again, guys. Appreciate you coming on, and we will talk next time.
Okay,
all right,
sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank
You made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We sure appreciate your support. This is Jim Huntsman signing off and reminding you to check us out at Instagram at The Western Huntsman and on Facebook at The Western Huntsman. And you can also check out the website at thewesternhuntsman.com. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.